Good morning. I'm Dr. Mahjabin Fatima from Isag Institute of Research and Technology. Today I'm taking transmission line topic of microwave engineering. Transmission lines are used to transmit the electrical energy or the signals from one place to another to connect the two devices or a source to a load, like a transmitter to an antenna or antenna to a receiver. The conventional open wire transmission lines are not suitable for microwave transmission as the radiation losses would be very high. So at microwave frequencies, the transmission lines employed and can be broadly classified into three types: multi-conductor lines, single conductor lines, open boundary structures. Coaxial lines, strip lines, microstrip lines, slot lines, coplanar lines, etc. comes under the multi-conductor lines. Rectangular waveguides, circular waveguides, elliptical waveguides, single ridge waveguide, double ridge waveguide, etc. comes under the single conductor lines. Dielectric rods, open waveguides, these are coming under the open boundary structures. The transmission lines are used for various applications, like for the connection between the two wires. Here the signal is transmitting and giving to the coaxial cable, and from the coaxial cable it is going to this wire. Similarly, here the coaxial cables are used to feed the AC and DC powers. It is connected to the diplexer. The transmission line, coaxial lines are used to feed powers and signals. The microstrip line you can see in this application. This is the microstrip patch antenna, and it is fed with the help of the microstrip line. This is the microstrip line, and it is used to feed the power to this microstrip patch antenna. So there are various applications of coaxial lines, strip lines and microstrip lines which are used to feed the AC and DC power, AC and DC signals. So in this lecture, I am taking coaxial lines, strip lines and microstrip lines, brief introductions. Multi-conductor lines. The multi-conductor lines are actually having more than one conductor, and because of this reason, this is called multi-conductor lines. In this, first I am taking coaxial lines. This is mostly used for high frequency applications. A coaxial line consists of an inner conductor with an inner diameter D and then a concentric cylindrical insulating material around it, and this is surrounded by an outer conductor which is concentric cylinder with an inner diameter capital D. In this diagram you can see this is the diagram of the coaxial line. This is the inner conductor. This is the insulating material surrounded this inner conductor. This is the outer conductor, threads of wires. This is the outer conductor, and outside of this also the insulating material, plastic insulating material is used. So it is having inner conductor and outer conductor. The inner conductor, this diagram is showing the cross-sectional view of the coaxial line. This is showing the inner conductor, let the diameter, let it be denoted by small d. This is showing the outer conductor, let the diameter of this, let it be denoted by capital D. So between these two, the insulator is present. The fundamental and the dominant mode in coaxial cables is transverse electromagnetic mode. There is no cutoff frequency in the coaxial cable. It passes almost all the frequencies. But for the high frequencies, some higher order non-TEM mode starts propagating, causing a lot of attenuation. The coaxial cable consists of two conductors separated by a dielectric material. The center conductor and the outer conductor are configured in such a way that they form concentric cylinders with a common axis, hence the term coaxial. Now recall some of the parameters of the coaxial cable. The capacitor, this is the value of the capacitor. We have already done all these calculations. So this is showing the capacitor, this is showing the inductor. The characteristics impedance of the transmission line, coaxial transmission line, it is equal to under root of L by C. This is equal to this much. So this the characteristics impedance depends on the value of inductor and capacitor. Beta is the phase constant. It is equal to omega under root of LC. Also equal to omega under root of mu naught epsilon. Mu naught is the permeability of the free space and epsilon is the permittivity of the insulator. And the propagation velocity or the phase velocity is equal to omega upon beta. It is equal to 1 by under root of mu naught epsilon. The epsilon is equal to mu epsilon naught epsilon r. So it can be written like this: 1 by under root of mu naught epsilon naught into 1 by under root of epsilon r. So this is equal to speed of light denoted by c. So this term is replaced by c. So phase velocity is equal to c divided by under root of epsilon r. The speed of the light is 3 into 10 raised to 8 meter per second. So next line, I am taking strip lines. So strip line or the transmission lines requires 3 layers of conductors, where the internal conductor is commonly called hot conductor. This is the inner conductor, while the other 2 always connected at signal ground are called cold or ground conductors. These are the cold and ground conductors. These conductors are also called ground planes. The hot conductor is embedded in a homogeneous and isotropic dielectric of constant epsilon r. So unlike the case of the microstrip, the word substrate is not appropriate to use here, since the dielectric is completely surrounds this hot conductor. Let the W is the width of this conductor, let small t is the thickness of this conductor, and the distance between the ground planes, let it be denoted by B. Epsilon r is the relative permittivity and mu r is relative permeability of the dielectric. Now this diagram is showing the electric and magnetic fields. The electric field is drawn from inner conductor to ground planes. From inner conductor to upper ground plane and from inner conductor to lower ground plane. These electric fields are fringed out. Because of this reason, the effective width of this conductor is somehow more than this width W. The magnetic fields are shown here by dotted lines. The performance parameters are written here. The characteristics impedance is equal to this much, and you can see here this characteristics impedance depends on the effective width of this inner conductor and the relative permittivity of the insulator. Now the microstrip lines. So microstrip line is consist of conducting ground. This is the conducting ground plane, dielectric substrate, and a microstrip, a small conductor, and the upper conductor or the upper ground plane is removed from the strip line. If the upper conductor is removed, then this line is acting as microstrip line. So microstrip line consists of ground plane, dielectric substrate, and microstrip, having thickness of micrometer and height of millimeter. The properties, practical microstrip lines has the following properties. Height is of millimeter and having the width to height ratio between 0.1 to 10, that is very less. So this is denoted by U. U is equal to width upon height of the microstrip or inner conductor. The propagation is in Z direction. This diagram is showing the electric and magnetic fields of the microstrip line. The electric field is from inner conductor to the ground planes, and the field you can see here, these fields are fringing out. Because of this, the effective width of this inner conductor increases from the width of W. T is the thickness of the inner conductor. H is the distance between the ground plane and the inner conductor. Epsilon is the permittivity of this substrate. The fringing effect cannot be ignored, and the electromagnetic waves are not the purely TEM, but this is the quasi-TEM because of this fringing fields. These are the performance parameters of microstrip line. The effective permittivity is somehow more than the absolute R. Here, this A and B, these values are written here. The characteristics impedance depends on the effective permittivity and the width to height ratio of the microstrip or the inner conductor. So if the height increase or thickness is increased or width is increased of microstrip, the characteristics impedance is going to decrease. Similarly, if the effective permittivity of the dielectric increases, then characteristics impedance will be decreased. The wavelength is equal to the lambda naught upon under root of effective permittivity. It means the wavelength also depends on the effective permittivity, and the velocity factor also depends on the effective permittivity. So these are the applications we have already seen. The microstrip line, coaxial line, and the strip lines are used to feed the receiver and the transmitters, or between the two devices these feeding lines are connected. Now I'm taking one numerical of the coaxial line. So I have written the performance parameter of the coaxial lines. That this coaxial line is actually, it can be shown or can be represented with the help of this equivalent diagram. Here this is the capacitance and the conductance are in parallel, and the resistance inductor are in the series. So this is the equivalent diagram of the coaxial line. So characteristics impedance can be given by under root of R plus j omega L upon G plus j omega C. If I am taking lossless line, then this resistance and conductance equal to 0. So this Z naught is equal to j omega L upon j omega C. Omega will be cut down. So characteristics impedance is equal to under root of L by C. Gamma is the propagation constant. It is equal to alpha plus j beta. Alpha is the attenuation constant and beta is the phase constant. This is the value of the gamma. It is equal to under root of R plus j omega L multiplied by G plus j omega C. If I am taking lossless line, put R equal to 0 and G equal to 0. So this is equal to j omega L into j omega C under root of this. So j omega can be taken out from the under root. So gamma is equal to j omega under root of L C. So the propagation constant is equal to j omega under root of L C. We also know that gamma is equal to alpha plus j beta. If the attenuation is 0, then gamma is equal to j beta. Therefore, j beta is also equal to j omega under root of LC. So I can write, I have taken out this term, j beta equal to j omega under root of LC. So j are cut down. So beta is equal to omega under root of LC. So omega upon beta is actually the phase velocity, and so it is equal to 1 by under root of LC. Characteristics impedance is under root of L by C. So I have taken one numerical here. A typical transmission line has a resistance of 8 ohm per kilometer, impedance of 2 millihenry per kilometer, a capacitance of 0.002 microfarad per micrometer, and a conductance of 0.07 micromho per kilometer. Calculate the characteristics impedance, attenuation constant, phase constant of the transmission line at a frequency of 2 kilohertz. So this is the solution. You can see here the resistance, value of resistance is given here. Inductance is 2 millihenry per kilometer. Capacitor is 0.02 microfarad per kilometer, and conductance is equal to 0.07 micromho per kilometer, and frequency is 2 kilohertz. So here the omega equal to 2 pi f is written here. It is calculated equal to 4 pi into 10 raised to 3 radian per second. The characteristics impedance is given by under root of R plus j omega L upon G plus j omega C. So here the values are put, the value of R is written here, and the value of omega and inductor values written here. Similarly, the value of conductance and value of omega and C are written here. So this is come out to be equal to 1012.1 minus j 155.72 ohms. The propagation constant is equal to alpha plus j beta. We have already seen this value. So put the value of resistance, inductor, conductance and capacitor, and the angular frequency. So this is coming out equal to 0.003987 plus j 0.02543. So this is equal to alpha plus j beta. This real term is showing the attenuation constant and the imaginary term is showing the phase constant. So phase constant is equal to 0.02543 radian per kilometer. So this completes this lecture. Thank you.